Hey guys, Mr. Happy here, and today we're going to be going over the patch notes for patch 2.41, which was just released today for Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn. Now, before I go any further, don't shoot the messenger. I didn't make these changes, guys. I'm just relaying them to you, so don't shoot the messenger. Be gentle. So these patch notes basically brought in the second Coil of Bahamut to the Duty Finder so that you could solo queue into it. Prior, it was in the Duty Finder, but you needed 8 people in order to go into them. So now it's in the Duty Finder, you can solo queue into it, but there's been some changes to them. Let's go through the patch notes and you'll see what I mean. So they made a few changes. Job quests now require you to beat the, I guess that's a main story mission, self-management. And also they changed the colors of the fruit furnishing so that it would better complement other furnishings. Not really things I knew were a problem, but apparently they've been fixed in case they were a problem for you. Now, other than that, they had a ton of bug fixes, which I'm not going to go into, but the biggest thing was, like I said, they added the second Coil of Bahamut to the Duty Finder so that you could solo queue into it. They added minimum item level requirements. They made changes to turns 6, 7, and 8, or second Coil, turn 1, 2, and 3, and they also added the Echo. So, let's go through all of these changes one at a time, and I'll give you my thoughts on them. So for the second Coil of Bahamut, there is now a minimum item level to enter it through the Duty Finder. For turn 1, it's item level 90, for turn 2, 95, turn 3, 100, and turn 4, 105. Now that's a much bigger margin than was present for the first Coil of Bahamut, which was 70, 72, 72, 77, and 82 if I'm not mistaken. But regardless, it goes up at a steady 5 item levels per coil, so you can kind of judge where your character stands based on where your item level stands, in case you didn't know. So I have no idea what I just tried to say. Let's move on. Anyway, so they also changed the mechanics in the second Coil of Bahamut for turn 6, 7, and 8. Now, I'm going to go through each of these. Try not to get too angry at me. I am going to voice my opinion on them a little bit. So for the second Coil of Bahamut turn 1, the first thing they changed was the damage dealt by the attack Blighted Bouquet has been reduced. Now, that attack used to one-shot you if you were moving at the end of the cast. Now it does about 3,000 damage, so it's survivable, to say the least. And in fact, a lot of the one-shot mechanics were reduced in all of these changes. I mean, the next change is the attack Sharps thing that the Dark Matter Hornets did, which was their one-shot kill ability if you didn't kill them quick enough. That has been reduced as well. Additionally, those Hornets won't even spawn now if you go into the final phase without getting rid of the Honey Glazed debuff on a player. And that's another theme that's common across all these, is that phase transitions, they took out the possibility of crappy phase transitions. Basically, the only way you can get a bad phase transition now is if you were to have, like, say, 2 Honey Glazed targets and 2 Hornets spawn and the phase moved on. But at that point, it just means you either need to do more DPS or you needed to slow things down, kill the Hornet before you push the phase. Also, the damage dealt by the acid spray used by acidic honey has been reduced. I'm pretty sure that's just the attack that acidic honeys do to you if you accidentally hit them after they spawn. But it doesn't do as much damage, and it doesn't inflict vulnerability up anymore, so it's not nearly as threatening as it used to be. So the strategy didn't really change for turn 6 all too much. The only difference is now that last phase transition, as long as there's no Hornet alive, you can pretty much just push 40% and you should be okay on Rafflesia. You could still wipe to damage stacks and cleaves and devours, I guess, but it's much harder to wipe. You can also definitely wipe to the last phase if you don't do the slug strategy correctly. Whether you're doing super slug, whether you're just zerging down the boss, whatever, you can still wipe to that as well. Now for turn 2 of the second Coil of Bahamut, there were some major changes here that should make it a lot easier for a lot of people. The attack power and evasion of Renauds has been reduced. In case you're wondering, Renauds used to one-shot you if they got in range of you. They now do about 700 damage if they get in range of you. So basically, anybody can take a Renaud hit and still be fine. You basically have no issues kiting. You don't have to worry about getting one shot. You could literally walk up to a Renaud's face and be like, alright, just petrify him right here. He's not going anywhere. Makes 4 stacking a lot easier. Makes handling them just a million times easier. So that's going to help a lot of people out. Additionally, there were 2 changes to the petrification that happens in this turn, whether it be from Cursed Voice or Cursed Shriek, and depending on which target it's on. So if you hit a player now with a petrification effect, the stone curse affected by Cursed Voice and Shriek has been changed to petrification, which now only lasts 10 seconds. I would like to point out it's only for Voice and Shriek, which makes it sound like the petrifaction one in the final phase is still a threat to you. I don't know that for certain, but that's what it seems to be based on this. It only lasts 10 seconds on another player if you hit them with it, and those petrified players cannot die in a single hit. So basically, petrifying a party member is not the end of the world here anymore. You could still absolutely recover from it. Additionally, Renauds now have their petrification last 60 seconds when they're petrified, which means you can no longer have crappy phase transitions where a Renaud becomes unpetrified because the boss's voice attack didn't go off at the right time. So again, removing crappy phase transitions here, that is really the big thing, and also just generally making it easier. The last thing is the damage dealt by the ground attack discipline has been reduced. That's the attack of the puddles that explode upwards. I'm assuming that means that the actual explosion that used to one-shot people has been reduced, but it may also just mean that the base damage over time was reduced from standing in it. It could also be both. I don't know. I haven't been in there yet. I'll be sure to update you guys when I get in there and attempt to suicide to the ability just to find out that I'm going to survive. I'm going to assume it does about 3k damage similar to Blighted Bouquet, but I'll let you guys know when I get in there. Now for turn 3 of the second Coil of Bahamut, turn 8 as I usually call it, there weren't as many changes. The biggest changes really here was how you interact with the support modules, or the towers as I like to call them. The enhancing effect granted to the avatar when multiple support modules are charged in unison has been reduced. He used to get a determination up buff and a vulnerability down debuff, making him deal more damage and take less damage. Seems that's just been reduced somehow. It doesn't seem like if you have two support modules fully charged at the same time that used to cause an instant wipe. I don't know if that has been reduced to a sense, if that's not an instant wipe anymore. I guess that's something I'll just have to test and let you guys know. But either way, it's not as bad if you don't handle the towers as quickly. Also, the damage received from the languishing effect when operating support modules has been reduced. I don't know, that debuff was there to make it so that if you stepped into a tower too many times, like if you just got hit by a tower repeatedly, you would take more and more damage. Getting hit by it 2 times within the debuff used to make it so that you would take like 5,000 to 6,000 damage. I don't know how much you can get now, but regardless, I'll just have to let you guys know. Either way, it's easier. It's less damage. It's probably like 3 or 4 stacks you can handle at a time right now. Also, damage dealt by the landmine auto detonation has been reduced. That was the mechanic that if you didn't step on all 3 of the landmines before they detonated, they would explode and instant wipe you. Again, I'm going to assume that they deal about 3,000 damage. So a lot of the mechanics in turn 8 are still there. The homing missiles, the ballistic missiles, the dreadnoughts still need to be killed properly. Allegan Field still needs to be handled properly. All those things are still there, and it's still somewhat meaningful, but some of the other things have been reduced so that they may not end in an instant wipe. Now, on top of that, the players are receiving the Echo buff. It's going to start at 10%. It's going to go up in the future if they deem it necessary. That's not a guarantee. If with 10% Echo they find people are beating second Coil Bahamut at a fair enough rate, they won't increase it further. Also, you don't need to die. It's on automatically, and it can be clicked off if you really want to challenge yourself without the Echo, just so you know. Also, all of these changes do not affect Savage second Coil Bahamut. Those are still going to be the same as they always were, and if you want to take on those challenges as they were originally set forth for you, they will be there for you, so don't worry about that. And on top of that, yeah, the icons of certain rogue and ninja actions have been adjusted to improve visibility. In case you're wondering about that, Shadowfang and Dancing Edge both had their icons, and I believe their debuffs on the actual boss changed to be a little bit more distinguishable from each other. So that was actually something that a lot of ninjas, including myself, were having trouble with, especially me, someone who's colorblind. So I'm really happy to see those changes. I logged in and saw them, and they look much, much better. On top of that, there's just a ton of you know, issues that have been addressed, bugs and whatnot. I'm not going to go over all of these, so you can go over all these on your own, see if any of them affect you in any way. But regardless, thank you for watching this video. Let me know what your thoughts are on the nerfs to the second Coil of Bahamut, as well as the inclusion of the Echo. Let me know about your Duty Finder adventures in the second Coil of Bahamut. I'll be sure to share some with you guys as well. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching this video, and until next time, take care.